Hey, what's up? So one of the things that has come up recently is the abundance of opportunities that we now have access to because companies are saying yes to working remote. They're releasing job recs and job openings and stating that the location is flexible. What I'm hearing from some clients is, hey, I'm interested in a job. It's a great opportunity to work for that particular company because that's the benefit of these companies being remote now. So one of the perks of this whole pandemic thing is that companies that have been location dependent before are now opening new jobs that are now remote. So that means if you live in New York and you've been interested in one company that only had an office in LA, you can apply to jobs in LA because now those jobs are being listed as remote. However, what I'm hearing from some clients is a reluctance to applying to remote jobs because they don't want to be remote once the pandemic is over. The challenge with that is that we don't know when this pandemic will be over. It might be a year from now before we're actually back in an office safely working. Now, obviously, this doesn't hold for every industry. There's some folks that are working in pharmacy or in medical capacities now that are actually in offices, even in mental health capacities as counselors and therapists that are in offices. So obviously it doesn't apply to you if it does not apply. But for others of us, we have the flexibility to continue working remote while perhaps even indefinitely, but definitely while the pandemic is still in the state that it's in now. The advice that I'm encouraging people to consider is applying anyway, because although we don't know what this pandemic is going to be a year from now, that would still give you a year to be in this role, a year to get to know this company, and a year to decide if you are willing to continue working for this company or you want to take your talent and that expertise and that experience that you now have gained because of this opportunity to go somewhere else. You don't have to move a year from now. And I think when companies do interact with good talent that they want to retain, they become very flexible. So although companies right now might say, okay, this is remote, and the assumption might be, once the pandemic is over, you're remote, everybody else is back in that office. You feel like there'll be some disadvantages to being remote when everyone is back in the office. I understand that, but that's trying to play chess based on a board setup that's not yet real, right? So let's deal with the facts that we have today. And for a lot of these organizations, they have tentative dates of returning back to the office. In many cases, it's next fall, or this fall rather. And so it's unknown. And so I would say apply, have the conversations, get to know the people, and see if the job is even of interest to you. If it is, and you wanting to say yes, there's ways to work through any concerns that you have. But by not even applying, you don't really give yourself the luxury of having choices. Wealth is the presence of choices. We're all about creating choices with Kick. So apply. Don't cut yourself off from applying because a company is in a different city and you're concerned about what going back to the office might look like for you because you don't currently live in that city. It could be a whole year under your belt, maybe even longer. Who knows what kind of policies that company might have in response to this pandemic, 6 months from now. A lot of companies are being very agile about this, as I think they should. And so things are changing quite frequently, but the opportunities are there. And I think it's really interesting to find now that you can apply to jobs and for companies that, a year before you wouldn't have had the ability to apply to because they weren't looking for talent from across the US. So apply first, ask questions later. That's the Kick approach. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye.